It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205 462 8192 or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. How would you like to live where you love in the state of Alabama? Whether it is your upsizing, downsizing, retiring at the beach, or relocating for your job, then you are going to want to contact Celeste Hagler, owner of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, with brokers in Tuscaloosa, Orange Beach, and Huntsville. They can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is 205-861-5698, and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals anywhere across the state of Alabama. Jeff Bagwell of Honey Hole Fisheries right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama is a professional biologist who specializes in lake management. If you are interested in helping build the pond or lake of your dreams, or if you need help deciding if property you own is a good location to build a pond, you can contact Jeff Bagwell at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Contact him today and let him help you build the lake or pond of your dreams, or also stock your pond or lake with fish that you most desperately need. And with that, I want to welcome you inside another edition of the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you here on this Tuesday morning of January the 13th. We are right in the heart of the NFL playoffs as well as college basketball. And we've also got a college football national championship to talk about that will be next Monday night. And so we are going to discuss all of that this morning right here on the Stingray Show with our guest Chris Lee, who will join us here in just a minute. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the national day of today. And let me go on ahead and bring up my co-host Heath Hopkins. And Heath, it is time to get going on the show, so pay attention, man. And I still
Hey,
can't hear you.
yes, you can. Everybody can hear me. You're just not listening, Stephen. Good morning. How are you, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, man. And hey, it's another day, right?
Another day in paradise, or trying to find it, right? Hey, Stephen, did you watch any of that game last night with the Rams and Falcons?
I did not know.
I did not watch a single play of it, and I woke up this morning. I thought about it, and asked my phone, who won, and I was shocked to see that the Falcons pulled that one out. I recorded it. I might have to go back and watch it. You know what I did watch last night? The Bears and Packers, because I recorded that game and I didn't get to watch it. So I
Well,
watched the Bears and Packers
there
game,
was a
which was
live game.
excellent.
There was a live game last night, and it
Right.
was the Houston versus Pittsburgh, and it may have been the last time we ever see Aaron Rodgers on the football field.
Yeah, he's getting up there. Um, you know, I remember several years ago, and we'll chase this rabbit here in a minute. I heard Brett Favre is doing really bad health wise, and some people claim it's because of
Yes.
the COVID shot that he took. He got a bad COVID shot, and it's just ransacked his health. I don't
Or
know if
it
that's
could
true or
be,
not, but those are the rumors. But I remember when Brett Favre, he's gone from the Jets, and then he went to the Vikings, and I remember hearing so many people have so many opinions. Brett Favre should just retire. Brett Favre should, let the man choose what. I'm sorry, I thought this was America. Let the man
yeah.
choose when he wants to go out. He's ruining his legacy. He didn't ruin squat.
Hmm.
He didn't ruin one thing. And he was one play away from taking the Vikings to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So people are like, yeah, he should just hang it up. He doesn't have it anymore. Blah blah blah. Stop. And a lot of these same people were talking about Peyton Manning, like, he's still got something left. He's still got something left. Well, so did Brett Favre. I just never understand why people who have never played a down of football past high school want to chime in. And most of them, I would say, have never even played a down of football in their life, but they want to chime in and talk about how these people shouldn't play anymore and they should just retire it. Just stop. You're not involved. You're not important to make that decision, and they don't care what you think. Keep that opinion to yourself. So if Aaron Rodgers wants to play 8 more years and someone's willing to take him, why not? If he wants to go to the CFL and play 2 more years, sure, just let Aaron Rodgers do what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. If he wants to walk out, let him walk out.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand why so many people have opinions of when people should and shouldn't retire. I don't get that.
So, Heath, briefly, let's go ahead and do the National Day of Today and the National History of Today because we always enjoy doing that. And today is Tuesday, January the 13th. And Heath, we've actually got a few things on the docket today. Today is National Sticker Day.
Sticker day.
Yeah,
Okay. I remember when you used to buy an Apple product, they used to give you a sticker with your product. And same
yeah,
thing with Under Armour when it first came out. There were Under Armour stickers everywhere. But, Steven, is there a favorite sticker that you have?
no,
Yeah, there
no.
you go. I will say that in like baseball and football cards, basketball cards, those kind of things, sometimes they put a sticker card in there. And those seem to be pretty valuable from back in the day because most people just took it off and put it on a notebook or a locker or wherever.
Hmm.
It's hard to find those.
It is also for anybody that likes to take a bath. It is National Rubber Ducky Day.
Steven, what's the deal with all these rubber ducks on the front dash of Jeeps?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't get like I'm not hating on it. It's your Jeep. You put whatever you want to on it, but I'm just like, what is this from like a show? Is this like what is this? What's this about? I don't even
Yeah,
know where you get those.
I don't know. All right, and Heath, for food, here comes our food. It is National Peach Melba Day.
I don't even know what peach melba is.
All right, so I did a little digging, and the woman that was behind the Melba toast, she was a French chef with elegant desserts back in 1892 and 1893. She came up with Peach Melba Day, which is a dessert with peaches, vanilla ice cream, topped with raspberry sauce, and it looks awesome. There it is.
Actually, that does look pretty good. So,
So,
Stephen, where are you going to go to find peach melba today?
I have no idea, but the only real place that you can really find this is over in the UK, over in London, because that's where it originated from.
Hmm. I would love for you to put in peach melba near me. You know what? I'm going to actually do that and see what pops up. You should do it. You should do it. Do it real quick and see what pops up. Let's see. Here we go. Peach melba near me. Hey Sugar Cake Company. And it says that I'm only a mile away from some. I don't know if that's true or not. At the Hey Sugar Cake Company. I don't know. And then it says the Peach Cobbler Factory. I'm going to guess that the Peach Cobbler Factory doesn't have it. Dude, have you ever been into a Peach Cobbler Factory?
I don't know, but it actually says mine too, and it says University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Now, here's a picture, and it looks like peach Melba. The only picture I've ever seen is that. But are you ready for this? Riverview Bakery. It's got a 4.7 rating, but are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
The third place on my search is Ton in the United Kingdom, and it has the pound sign instead of the dollar sign. But I'm going to spend 10 to 20 pounds. So the third one is the closest thing. So you're onto something there, Stephen. Maybe we can only get it in the UK.
Yep.
But
All right.
Peach Cobbler Factory, real quick, dude. Like, it's okay. Like, it's good. It's not great. But I love walking in there and just smelling the place.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been in like 2 of them, but man, I love the smell.
Heath, finally, today it is also Stephen Foster Day. Now, do you happen to know anything about Stephen Foster?
I do not know anything about Stephen Foster to my knowledge.
He is a American songwriter, and he died on January the 13th of 1864, and he wrote the old song Old Susanna. Due to the popularity of his song Oh Susanna, the publishing firm Firth Pond and Company offered him a royalty rate of 2 cents per copy of sheet music sold, making him what is considered the first fully professional songwriter in the United States. So Stephen Foster, the writer of Old Susanna, it is his day today because he died on this day on January the 13th of 1864, and he is the first known professional songwriter in the United States of America.
Oh, Susanna. I don't know the rest of it. But okay, wow. All right. I have nothing for you on that. But I'm glad that he was able to buy his family some peach Melba with his royalties.
Yes.
That's all I got for you.
All right. When we move to the national history of today, in 1794, Congress changes the U.S. flag to 15 stars and 15 stripes.
What year?
1794.
Wow. Wow. I'm sure I have seen that flag, but I cannot recall that flag.
Right.
But that's pretty intense.
All right, now for those of you that may be a geography nerd like Heath, can you tell me what was established in 1888 on this day?
I'm going to guess a state. No. What was established in 1888?
The National Geographic Society is founded to increase geographical knowledge.
Wow, nerds.
So
wow,
the
okay.
National Geographic. So it dates all the way back to 1888.
And just remember, boys and girls, without geography, you're nowhere.
All right. So Heath, we will have to do the rest of these on the post show after we get to our guest. I am about to run a brief advertising from one of our wonderful sponsors, and then we will be back to be joined by Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, who is on deck behind the scenes. He joins us right after this. We always love Chris Lee.
We do like Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. You know, I tell people when they come in, you know, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. You know, we've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. This is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, is the SEC dominance finally over? The SEC had to get 5 teams in the playoffs, and for the third straight year, they are out of the national championship game and potentially out a national champion. And to make matters worse, in the bowl season, the SEC went 4-10, and 2 of those wins were against in-conference opponents. You take those away, and they are 2-12. Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 will join us on this edition of the Stingray Show to talk about the bowl season that was for the SEC, an update on college basketball because the Vanderbilt Commodores are 16-0 in the overall standings, and they are rocking and rolling. And we're also going to talk a little transfer portal as well. That is all ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you back inside the Stingray Show. We are about to bring on Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 and with Vandy 247. And Heath, we have always had Chris Lee join us for as long as I can remember. And Heath, he knows his knowledge about the SEC and about college football, college basketball, and college baseball in the SEC.
Yeah, Chris is a great friend of the show, and always appreciate Chris coming on. Appreciate his takes. Usually I agree with most of his takes. I don't agree with all, but that's no one on the planet. You don't agree with anyone's takes.
Yeah.
And that's why we have chocolate and vanilla. We all a little bit different, but I definitely respect Chris, enjoy his takes. And I will slip in somewhere in here something about college baseball. Stephen, we are 30 days away from college baseball. 30 days. 30 days.
It's incredible, man. Moving right along. Chris.
First practices for everybody, for everyone in college baseball happen this week. So, excited, super excited to get the season started.
Chris, how are things with you outside of Nashville, Tennessee?
Well, other than getting ready for college baseball, other than covering college basketball, other than keeping an eye on the portal, it's been a dull time around here.
Yes.
So, Chris, I don't know if you caught any of the pre-show. Peach Melba. Have you ever had peach Melba?
I can't say I have.
Yeah, I haven't either. I had to Google on my phone peach Melba near me, and the third place was in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've never heard of peach Melba until this morning. So I was like, I want to go find some.
Yeah.
Chris, let's start because you cover not only Southeastern 16, but Vandy 247. Go ahead and talk with us about this incredible start to the season that Vanderbilt basketball is on. They are 16-0 this season to start, with huge wins over Alabama and other ones as well. Your thoughts on Vanderbilt starting off 16-0?
Yeah, they are really, really good. I think some of the country is starting to figure it out. I watched them play in their exhibition against Virginia. This was not televised, but we saw it in person. And
Right.
Virginia was the kind of team that I thought, with really skilled bigs, and we didn't know how good Virginia was at the time, but after watching Virginia, I thought that's a really good team. And Vanderbilt won that game. It was at home and didn't win it decisively, but I would say controlled it most of the way. Never felt like they'd lose. And from that point on, just watching the pieces and seeing how many Mark Byington had, I thought they got a chance to be a really good team. Now, I'm thinking probably top 25 team. I don't know, at this point, I thought potential Final Four contender. And we'll slow our roll on that. But like right now, they are I think 3 in Bart Torvik, 5 in Ken Pomeroy, maybe 7 in Evan Mia. Like they are really, really good analytically. And you watch them, they've got a lot of pieces. One of their main pieces right now has been out for, I think, 4 games. That's Frankie Collins. They have won all the games without him in spite of that. And in addition to all the pieces, they've got a guy in Tyler Tanner who a year ago was a guy that was a really good reserve, whose claim to fame was I think he went over 250 minutes to start his college career without turning the ball over. So he was a guy who was efficient and didn't make mistakes. Now he's a guy who has jumped up and has kind of become their alpha dog. He's probably the SEC Player of the Year if you're picking it right now, and a guy that is, I think, if you take the NBA draft right now, probably a mid-first round pick. I don't think anybody came into the season going, hey, Tyler Tanner's going to be gone for the NBA next year. I don't think that was on anybody's radar, but that's where they are. They do everything pretty well, and they've got a burgeoning superstar who's kind of leading the way.
Wow. Chris, last I checked, Vandy 15-0. And like you said, no one was really talking about these guys in preseason. And a lot of people are kind of late to the party on Vanderbilt right now. Some people are still doubting. Some people just want to hate because their season's not going they want to go to, Kentucky fans. But with this Vandy team, what's the one thing that's really caught your attention about them where you're like, man, there's something really special here? I heard you talk about the Virginia weekend, but what's one thing that are they good, defensively on the glass? Are they offensive rebounding team? Are they good behind the arc? Or is it half-court defense? What is it with this team that you're just like, man, these guys are special?
I think it's that when you look at them, Heath, you cannot find like an identifiable weakness. I would say that if I'm picking nits, with Collins being out right now, and Frankie Collins I would think will be back for February. Collins is, I don't know, I'll check it since I've got Kim Palm in front of me. He may not qualify anymore because of the playing time, but I think he was top 5 in the country in steal rate. Looking at it now, he had to be before he started missing some time, which, by the way, Duke Miles is 7th and Tyler Tanner is 20th. So they get 3 pickpockets in the backcourt, one of them who's out right now, and that's affecting the minutes of the other guys. They are, I'm not going to say they're elite inside because they're not. And boy, they're going to get tested with Florida in that regard on Saturday. But that Jalen Washington, who transferred from North Carolina, is having his best season yet. He can do a little bit of everything. He can block shots. He's a 70-something% free throw shooter. Like most bigs don't shoot in that territory. They've got Devin McLaughlin, who's an undersized 6'7", kind of 4-man, who's a really good rebounder, can do a little bit of everything, step out and hit a 3, block some shots. I think you'd like to see them have one more big guy who can play minutes. They had that guy in Mason Nicholson from Jacksonville State who did well in the preseason workouts, but he got sick. I was going to say a couple games into the season, just I know what it was. I won't talk about it publicly, but it's the kind of
Right.
thing that can really derail you for weeks. And I don't know that he's ever gotten back in shape or in sync, or if he lost his confidence or whatever. So they even had that piece, but it's not available to them right now. They haven't played him in probably at least a month. So I would say, Heath, the thing that stands out to me is they've got a little bit of everything, and they're also very, very unselfish and cohesive.
Heath, they're 16-0, not 15. I just looked. They're
Oh,
16-0, 3-0 in conference.
mm.
Now, Chris, on the flip side of that, this has got to be extremely disappointing so far for three teams this season: Auburn, who is a blue blood in basketball; Kentucky, who is a blue blood; and then Ole Miss. Auburn comes in at
Yeah.
10-6. Kentucky comes in at 10-6, and Ole Miss, unfortunately, comes in at 9-7.
Yeah, I think you've got three different issues. Kentucky's roster construction, I've just never been sold on it.
Right.
Even before the season, their point guard, Jalen Lowe, has a shoulder injury that's been bothering him for, I don't know, at least a month, which, by the way, was the same thing that happened to their transfer point guard, Lamont Butler, last year. Bugged him the whole season. I don't think outside of Otega Owe, they've got an elite shooter. And I think Owe has suffered a little bit because last year they had a bunch of guys who were really good players. And what does that do? That creates more looks for everybody. I think it's tougher on Owe this year because of his surrounding cast. Now, I think Kentucky has kind of pivoted a little bit and become much better defensively and is using some defense to create offense on the other end. So I'm still not sold on Kentucky, but I at least see something happening there where maybe there's a path that they are a borderline top 25 team. We'll wait and see. I just can't believe they spent $22 million on the roster. And I don't know. First of all, I don't think I believe that.
Right.
Second of all, if they did, boy, they missed some parts that they could have gotten with that money.
Yeah.
So I think the Auburn defense has been the big issue there. They got better at that against Arkansas on Saturday in one of the more impressive performances on the year. They've also got Keyshawn Hall, who is, I think, a first-team All-SEC player if you take the vote today. So we'll see if Auburn can. I mean, Auburn got just blown out in 3 games against elite teams, and so this has been an up-and-down team. I think for Ole Miss, I haven't followed them as much because, frankly, there just hasn't been much to watch.
Right.
There's the parts there are pretty good. I mean, they've got Malik Dia, AJ Storr had a really good game. This is his 4th stop. I don't know if elite is the word, but he's an outstanding talent who, if he's on, Ole Miss has got a chance to be really good. Elise Camerdine, the French kid who I think they thought would be one of the leaders of their team. But you just listen to Chris Beard talk at times. There's been something that's been missing, whether it's chemistry or effort. I don't know what it is, but this is a place where people close to that program felt like they had a chance to be really, really good.
Yeah.
And frankly, until they beat Missouri at home, and a Missouri team that was playing pretty well on Saturday, there's not a whole lot more there to like on their resume because most of the good teams they played have beaten them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, the final thing I want to talk with you about basketball is Alabama. They ran into the buzzsaw there in Nashville against Vanderbilt. But then on this past weekend on Saturday, they lost at home in Coleman to 10-6 Texas. Your thoughts on Alabama losing 2 in a row?
I'll start with the positive. I still think this is a very good team. This is a team that could still win the SEC championship, still go far in the NCAA tournament. I think that when they've got everybody healthy, LeBaron Philon was probably the front runner for SEC Player of the Year if we did this a week ago. Aiden Holiday is an elite guard beside him. Latrell Wrightsell is a great depth piece off the bench. At guard, Amari Allen, I think, scored 25 points against Vanderbilt. Aiden Sherrill is a talented player. And I think you look at the bench, they've got a lot of good guys. I mean, I think usually when you're looking at rosters, guys, you're probably going 1 to 8 because from 9 on, those guys aren't that significant. But I
Right.
think from 8 to 12 or 13 or whatever, Alabama's roster may be as good as anybody's in the SEC. Unfortunately, that has kind of come in handy for Alabama lately. But, those guys aren't nearly as good as the top of the roster because of the injuries. I mean, I feel like every other player on the team is either missing time or has missed time recently. You had the weird thing where Phylon had what Nate Oates called full body cramps against Vanderbilt, missed the last 16 minutes.
Right.
I don't know how in this day and age of hydration and science and health we get to that point, but we did. Vanderbilt had A.K. Okereke cramping up too, by the way, in that game. So, yeah, I mean, right now, I think with Alabama, number one, you've got to get healthy. I think a healthy Alabama is as talented a team as they're in this league, but you also had that issue that they had a couple of years ago where defensively they just weren't very good.
Yeah.
And Ken Palm doesn't tell you what defensive ratings were a couple of weeks ago, but this is starting to feel a little bit like the 2024 team, which is 25-12 and ranked 111 in defense. Alabama is now 79 in defense at Ken Palm on adjusted efficiency. I'm going to guess they were in the 40s or 50s a few weeks ago.
Right.
But they give up, 96 to Vanderbilt on the road. No shame in that, especially with all the free throws. They give up 92 to Texas, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's slipping.
Yeah.
It feels like this thing could go bad quickly between the health and the defense. But Alabama's also got probably a top 10 coach in basketball. And so I don't rule out them fixing this to some degree.
Right.
I don't know where it's going. I think you got things that indicate all over the map it could go in this direction or that direction. But no doubt Alabama is a very, very talented and deep basketball team.
Chris, last year in the SEC, it was a super majority of teams were heading to the big dance. And everyone was talking about like, oh, we could probably get 14 teams in and this and that. This year, not the case.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest step down from last year to this year? Because I refuse to believe it was the lack of NIL money with so many great teams in the SEC last year. Why do you think we've taken such – not that it's a bad league this year. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's not as super as it was last year.
Yeah. I'm going to pull this up to just be exact in my answer. Okay, last year –
Transfer portal.
Well, yes, but I'm going to hit the matter, and then we can look for maybe the cause of it. Every team in the SEC last year was top 68?
Wow.
Top 79 in Ken Pomeroy's adjusted defensive efficiency. Vanderbilt being the last team, but the Commodores were pretty good offensively. You had Auburn, number 9, Florida, number 6, and it felt like better than that at year's end. Tennessee at 3, Texas A&M at 10. So that's 4 teams alone in the top 10 in defense. You had Arkansas at 18. You had Alabama at 28. I mean, you had a lot of really solid defensive teams, and nobody was just awful. You go to this year, and here's your top of the league in defensive efficiency, according to Ken Palm. You got Florida at 7. You got Vanderbilt at 11. So you got one team in the top 10, one team knocking on the door. Tennessee at 13, which is great. But, I mean, Tennessee is usually, I don't know, Rick Barnes' elite defensive teams were giving up 87, 88 points per 100 possessions. This team's giving up 96. You've got, Kentucky in the top 25, and then boy, does it get ugly at places. Texas 120, Oklahoma 114. We talked about Alabama, Missouri 105. Most of these teams are outside the top 50. Now, what caused that, I don't know, but I think defensively the league has dropped off a lot. And I think three-point shooting is another thing, guys. I think the SEC is 29th of 31 to 32 conferences in three-point shooting. Now, that's kind of been a weak point for the SEC a lot of years. I don't remember where they ranked last year off the top of my head, but I think it was better. I think you look at those two things, and I don't know what the cause of it. A lot of times defense is effort and buy-in. So I can't tell you exactly what it is there, maybe without being in a lot of locker rooms. But something has happened where these teams in this league, they're really good. Don't get me wrong. This is still a league where every team is ranked, I think, top 85 at Ken Palm. So nothing is easy. But defensively and three-point shooting have been lacking in terms of what this league is and what it could be.
Interesting. Stephen, I'm going to go on and move the conversation over to football.
Yes,
And,
yes.
and the one thing, I heard this on a podcast, and I didn't do a deep dive, but just quick thinking, I was like, they're exactly right. The SEC didn't look good in bowl games last year. They looked even worse this year. And, we all know it's been several years since we've had an SEC team be in the championship game, much less win the championship game. And someone brought this up. They said, when you saw Indiana and Alabama play, who was the most physical dominant team? When you watched Ole Miss and Miami play, who was the most physical dominant team? If you go back and look at the matchups this year of teams that have played, when SEC teams played out of conference and lost, who was the more physical team? They said, who was more physical with Florida State and Alabama to start the season? And it said, the SEC is no longer the most physical conference. And I sat there and I started thinking, I'm like, and I didn't do the deep dive, like I said, but just thinking real quick, I was like, oh, wow. And I started thinking of a few games, and I was like, that's exactly what's happened. Yeah. And I was shocked at it. Now, we all know, everybody in every conference and the NFL knows, there is a national shortage of offensive linemen in the world today. There's a massive shortage. It's not a little bit of a shortage. It's massive. Yet the defensive line and these defenses for other conferences, especially the Big Ten, are dominating, and the SEC is lacking on that side of the ball right now, and it blows my mind because that's never really been an issue in the SEC since like the mid to late 80s. It was a little bit because that was the speed league. The SEC was the speed league back then. What's going on with the SEC right now?
Well, I'll start at the top of the league in terms of perspective coming into the season, Heath, because Texas was everybody's number one team in the country, and you saw the skill talent all across the board. But the one thing, if you looked into it, they lost Kelvin Banks, their left tackle, I think was the Outland Award winner 2 years ago to the NFL. And they lost, I think, 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. And they had a few guys back with experience, but it was not this team where you looked and they lined up and they had, 120 returning starts on the offensive line and a couple of All-Americans. You saw what happened to Texas in terms of how Texas started the season, in terms of how Texas never really ran the ball well. Right. Let's look at another team that was a darling for the playoffs preseason. A lot of people had this team pegged to go to the playoffs, myself included. It was LSU. But I remember what I said about LSU before the season is, look, guys, they lost 2 first-round tackles. How many teams lose that and don't take a step back? Well, guess what? LSU lost those guys. Garrett Nussmeier was running for his life part of the season. I think he ended up hurt. Didn't he end up finishing the season? A guy that we thought could have won the Heisman. I don't know how much of it was Nussmeier, maybe some of it, but I think certainly some of it was he did not have the line that he had the year before. Oklahoma 2 years ago was bad because the offensive line did not have a lot of returning players. They had a line that had an unbelievable amount of experience in 2023. Almost all those guys were gone. They struggled in 24. They replaced some of those guys, but they had injuries to key guys right before the season on that offensive line that never really got healthy. Alabama, offensive line underachieved. You look at Kentucky's decline the last few years. They used to be the program known as the Big Blue Wall. Kentucky's been awful offensively the last couple of years. You could go on and on and on. And I would add on the flip side, Texas A&M made the playoff because you looked at them and you said, okay, if you're looking at guys that have put together quality play in the SEC from the offensive line, A&M had about as many of those guys as anybody. Probably should be no surprise that A&M made the playoff. Vanderbilt, I said before the season, hey, everybody's looking at Vandy and going, well, the system, everybody's going to figure out Diego Pavi. They're going to take a step back. I said, well, hey, wait a minute. What Vanderbilt did in the offseason was spend its time getting really old and getting really experienced on the offensive line. Yep. I think 4 of their 5 starters at least were either seniors or grad transfers. I think they had 100 and 30-something starts between them. Vanderbilt got old and experienced on the offensive line, and it won 10 games. I think there was a really big correlation to how you handled your offensive line, to what you had coming back in performance last year. And that's just one side of the ball. We could probably hit the defensive side of the ball, but there were things in there that were glaring before the season, and boy, was that loud in terms of the results.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, a quick follow-up to that. If you were Greg Sankey and you were the head of the SEC office in Birmingham, are you hitting the panic button? 4-10 in bowl games versus non-SEC teams, and then 2 of those were wins against teams in your conference. If you take those away, 2-12, and the biggest issue, no championships in 3 years. No teams making it to the national championship game in 3 years. Are you hitting the panic button if you are the commissioner of the SEC?
No, I don't think I'm hitting the panic button. I mean, we like to play this game where we say the SEC is dead and dominance is all these things. Well, look, hey, if we were all that smart, why are the three of us sitting here doing a show and not on an island in the Caribbean somewhere? Taking what you could see coming, and then if we all knew what to do, look, I just did give you a pretty big recipe.
Right.
Of some offensive line issues. And if the game is still played in the trenches, and as you guys said, there's kind of a shortage of offensive linemen, which I hear people in the game say, there was a little bit of a roadmap to some of this. Now, knowing that, maybe you fix it that way. But look, I just think it's really hard to dominate this era of college football. I don't think it's just the SEC. I think it's everybody's got a shot to be competitive. I mean, let's be honest. There were days where teams could pay guys under the table, and if you were better at that than other people, and you couldn't transfer out, you could lock up 5-star recruits on your second and third team for a few years and just hoard those guys till your experienced guys left. Now the talent disperses because of the money and the portal, and I don't like the way that it's put together. I don't like the 130 car pileups on the interstate that are this time of the year. With guys still coaching games, with the Lane Kiffin mess. I don't like the way it's made.
Yeah.
But, man, I think the game is more fun, and I don't mean this aimed at your audience. When a Vanderbilt's got a chance to compete and it's not a foregone conclusion, they're going to be a 30-point loser every time they tee it up in the SEC.
Right.
And it's not a foregone conclusion that Alabama's going to be winning games 45-10, even against, like, ranked teams. I think the parity – makes it fascinating. No, again, I don't like the way that it's put together, but I think that everybody's in this boat together. I mean, who's to say that 2 years from now we're not having this conversation that the Big Ten sucks and the SEC is dominating? And guess what? I guess if we can fast forward into the future and we're saying that's what it's going to look like, I would probably say, hey, look, there's no reason this couldn't flip back the other way because there's so much parity and it's so hard to dominate, which, by the way, made what Indiana's doing just incredible.
Yep.
Yeah. And I want to. I know Steven's got a question, and we'll touch on this later. But the one thing I love about Indiana, they have an old coach who went out and got old players.
Yep.
Who have been doing it for a long time. And I mean, these are 24-year-old men out there facing your 19 and 20-year-old 5-star athletes.
Yeah.
They're just punching them in the mouth and laughing at them.
Yeah.
That's been the fun thing of watching Indiana this year, is watching this old experience, because there's been a saying in the SEC, no matter the sport, old wins.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are in the transfer portal, and we're like, hey, he was a freshman last year at South Alabama. He was their leading rusher. Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
Let's give him all this money. And now you got a 19, 20-year-old run the ball, and they've got a 24-year-old run the ball. And it's just kind of fun to see the craziness of all this. But with all of that being said, I'm really looking forward to the SEC. I don't think this is something where the SEC is going to keep declining. And this is just a bump in the road. That's all it is.
I think some of the stuff you said, and I don't even know how to articulate this well, but I think the discussion of timelines for players and maturity. Like now we have this era where guys are playing 5 and 6 and sometimes 7 years of college ball,
which is crazy.
Well, it is crazy, but you're also getting some stuff like, let's take Trinidad Chambliss, for example. Let's go back 5 years. Trinidad Chambliss barely plays, I think, his first 2 years at wherever the school he was.
Ferris State.
Ferris State, thank you. Division II team. Finally starts playing, gets healthy, plays well, is headed to Temple before Ole Miss grabs him. If Austin Simmons isn't hurt, we never know about Trinidad Chambliss, and we know the story. I think you have all these incredible things that give guys chances that never had chances before.
Yeah.
Always the thing that fascinates me, like if you could create an alternate universe, and go back so many decades and give guys chance. And I say this like now, I've got a nephew who got to play, I think either 5 or 6 years at Wyoming, got hurt, but because of the COVID year, had a little more time to develop. He was a high school quarterback who was undersized. He's now a third-year starting wide receiver in the Canadian Football League because he had the opportunity to walk on. He got a scholarship, and he developed. And I think you just repeat that narrative over and over at higher levels. You've seen guys that probably weren't getting chances years ago that are now maybe going to be first and second round picks. So I think that's one thing that's super interesting is just now as we've created extra eligibility and you guys get more timeline to get healthy and mature. You see guys pop that in the old system, we never would have heard of them. They would have buried on a depth chart somewhere and they'd be, working an entry-level job at Dell Computers right now instead of playing college football with the chance to make a pro future. That's number one. I think number two, and I know Heath, particularly you're a big baseball guy. You will see a guy sometimes, you go to a game and, you look up and a guy's got 35 home runs and he's mashing and you never heard of him. And what's the usual explanation? Well, he's a 25-year-old guy going against 21-year-olds. And that at that point in time, he should be crushing double-A pitching. I think you get a lot of that in college football. We're stuck on this thing where, and you see it in the transfer portal evaluations, and I'm not bagging on my company 24/7 because I think they do a terrific job. But the portal evaluations you see in football are still very heavily based on what a guy was out of high school a couple of years ago. And look, sometimes those guys just need playing time, and sometimes those guys pop. But sometimes your real 5-star players are your Trinidad Chamblisses, who were nothing out of high school, were nothing for a couple years, and then do what he did. I think we struggle to reframe the whole conversation of talent and how to quantify it, and I think we're still struggling with it.
Chris, I'm going to touch on that and add to it. I was listening to them talk about Bill Parcells back in the day evaluating quarterbacks coming out of college for the draft. And Bill Parcells had these rules that he had to start for 3 years. College quarterback had to start for 3 years, and he had to been in college for all 4, or at least 4. They said he was lenient on the redshirt year. Like, hey, this kid redshirted, but he's been starting the last 3 years and blah, blah, blah. Bill Parcells like, yeah, but if he had not done those 2 things, Parcells did not want him. And he said, I don't have time to teach you things in the NFL that you should have already learned in college. And I think that's kind of what the transfer portal has done here when you're evaluating talent, because here's the thing. And every situation is 100% different for every single school and every single position. But I think it does come down to this. Hey, we got a kid here. He spent 4 years at Rutgers. He started the last 3. He made all conference last year. He's got 1 more year of eligibility. Do we want him or do we want this 5-star offensive lineman or this 5-star wide receiver or this 5-star quarterback? I want the kid at Rutgers who's been doing it, last 3 years and was all conference. It was like, well, it was Rutgers and they had a losing season last year. I don't care. I don't have to teach this kid about timing.
Yeah.
I don't have to teach this kid holding on to the ball too long. I don't have to teach this kid about route running. I have to teach this kid about, situations and pass blocking and run blocking. And this kid knows. He's up to speed. I will take this kid who was a 2-star out of high school that's got 3 years starting experience over any stinking 5-star. And I think that's the beauty of the transfer portal. And the big teams that you saw in the playoffs this year have figured it out. It takes a lot of money, but it takes a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And once you mix those things together, that's what you get. And look at Indiana and the experience of that team. Look at that team, and now you'll understand why they have dominated college football this year.
Chris, the final thing I want to talk about with you, you talked about it with the transfer portal, with the SEC as a whole. What has been the biggest surprise, positive and negative, that you have covered this season for the transfer portal window this year?
By the way, just one footnote to Heath's conversation. This is where kind of the old times and the new times meet. You guys can fact check me on this, but I think, was it not Bear Bryant who said, for every freshman I start,
It's a loss.
It's a loss.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that has remained timeless in all this, and that was an excellent way that you put all that. What surprised me? I mean, are we surprised by anything these days?
Right.
But here, I mean, all kidding aside, I think it's this: Texas going out and losing a lot of names that we know, and you're going, wow. They let C.J. Baxter walk and
Trey Wisner.
Yeah, a lot of guys that we know. It looks like Texas is doing okay on the reload. I mean, we expected LSU to hit the portal hard.
Right.
I think the thing that's kind of shocked me is Alabama, guys. I don't know where this is going. I've maintained that I think they've got a good coach. Now, he's up against exceptionally difficult circumstances, replacing a coach who was probably the greatest college football coach of all time in a time where the way that he built the model is pretty much impossible to do now with the portal. And that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for anybody to bite off to take over for a legend. But, I mean, I look at the guys that have left Alabama, and look, this is not over yet. We're doing this on a Tuesday. What is it? January the 13th. So the portal's got a few more days to close. And sometimes even you look at these commitment lists and they're not even caught up with who's committed. But, man, I look at the way Alabama finished the season. I look at the guys they lost on defense. Ty Simpson is, apparently headed to the NFL. Man, they got a lot of work to do between now and then and piecing it back together. And I think staying in the state, like how many guys, it's old news now, but how many guys Auburn lost?
Oh my gosh, 31, I think.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the number, man. It was, you look at, all right, this guy was good, he's gone. This guy was good, he's gone.
Yeah.
Deuce Knight, Ashton Daniels, Singleton, Cam Coleman. I mean, just whew.
I know, and I guess I thought, like we all thought Hugh Freeze was the problem, and Hugh Freeze was awful. It was a bad hire, and I do wonder if Auburn had moved on a year ago, what does this look like this year with the head start? But, man, that the Alabama schools, and at least Auburn has gone out and gotten Byron Brown, who's a good experienced quarterback, played a lot of ball, threw for over 3,000, rushed for over 1,000 last year, and had a lot more touchdowns than turnovers. But, yeah, I mean, I think the state of football in the state of Alabama, it's a little, I don't know if alarming is the word, but it's caught my eye.
And, Chris, let me also say this. Mississippi State, 5-8 under Jeff Lebby. He has hit the transfer portal hard, and actually he's bringing in a lot of Power 4 talent to Starkville. That surprised me with a losing record last season.
Yeah, they've added a lot of players, and when you look at it, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of the guys they got. The Gilbert kid from LSU was a name that I know, so I'm going to have to get some familiarity with these guys that came from out of the SEC. Isaiah Dent was a name I knew from Oklahoma, and a few more. But and Kendall Dolby from Oklahoma, that's a good one too. AJ Swan's kind of interesting because with Kamario Taylor, it feels like they're going to let's have a mobile quarterback, which has worked really well for a lot of schools in college football. And AJ Swan is their backup. I think this is like his fourth school now. That's probably a good piece you want to have He's experienced, but he's not very mobile. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if he can dial into some of what other schools have been doing in terms of taking older, experienced players and fitting them in to make it better, which, like, he had a huge rebuild when he took that job.
Guys, I'll let you have a little fun with this, and I'll ruin the surprise at the same time. I saw a wonderful stat yesterday, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. It talks about the coaches in their first 2 years in Tuscaloosa and their record since Bear Bryant.
Mm.
And who sits at number one for most wins?
DeBoer.
Wow.
Yeah.
DeBoer.
Yeah.
And a lot of Alabama fans don't want to talk about that and admit that. And Chris, you've mentioned it. People are hating on Kalen DeBoer, but look what he's done in his first 2 years. I mean, it's not like these guys went to the Liberty Bowl or missed the bowl game altogether. I mean, they're making the college football playoff. Now, they ran into the buzzsaw, which is Indiana, but guess what? Indiana's destroying everybody so far.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody that's going to pick Miami in that national championship game, and why would you of what Indiana's done all year? Not saying Indiana's going to win, but I think they will. But with all of that, I love that the fact that Alabama fans are having a meltdown and a come apart. But me and Steven have talked about this on the show. When Bear Bryant left, it was kind of slowly going off. Bear Bryant left at the Liberty Bowl, not the national championship. Nick Saban, it was kind of coming down a little bit. Was it bad? No, it wasn't bad, but he was not competing for national titles.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing that a lot of Alabama fans, I don't think, realize is that the program had been doing this when DeBoer came in. It's going to take him a season or two to plateau that thing before it starts going back up, if he can.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Bama fans are going to be patient. Chris, my fun question to you, and Steven, I want to hear your opinion on this as well. If Alabama makes the playoffs and loses first round, rather they're like in the wild card round where they're either hosting the home game or on the road, and Alabama loses again, does Alabama make a change? I don't think they can.
My information is now dated. My understanding was Kalen DeBoer had the support of his athletic director who hired him and the president because they liked the way that he was building the program. And that's all fine and good until you lose some games and people get angry, as they tend to do in Alabama when you lose football games.
Right.
And frankly, that's a little unfair to Alabama. I think that's the case most places in the Southeast. But I don't know. I mean, Kalen DeBoer came to Alabama with a better record or better winning percentage for his college career than Nick Saban had.
Right.
No, look, Saban being in the SEC, I'm not saying he was a better coach. I'm just saying that was pretty loud. I tend to think good coaches are good coaches until you show me a reason that they're not. And sometimes you could be a good coach at the wrong school, and maybe it's a bad fit. I don't know, but I'm just kind of like, I've always been firm in the camp of, I don't know if he was the best guy, but I felt like at least a right guy, a good answer. But at the same time, like, you watch the portal and like, okay, how does he put this back together now? Because he's got his work cut out.
I really feel like that Alabama beating Oklahoma, I really feel like that allowed Kyle Whittingham to get that Michigan job. I think if they would have lost, Kellen DeBoer would not have had the opportunity to make a change and let Alabama do it. He would have said, I'm going to Ann Arbor, a place I'm familiar with. Bye, see ya.
Yeah.
And I think that first round win helped him stay at Alabama.
I'd heard mixed things because originally that's what I'd heard too, was that if he loses, he'll probably go to Michigan. If he wins, he'll stay at Alabama. Yep. But then a little more, same source saying that, hey, I think that the school seems pretty bought into him. Now, look, that was before 38-3 also. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing is fascinating.
Yeah.
Here's a silly question. It's a yes or no. The Alabama fans, will they feel better if Indiana beats Miami like
No,
63-7.
no, no. Because they've got the stigma of no, they got the stigma of we're Alabama, nobody can touch us.
Well, you
Trust
got
me,
touched and abused against Indiana.
trust me, I live
Well,
here with it, and you just have no idea the boldness and the brash of Alabama faithful.
Oh no, I understand it. They think it's their birthright, and that's why they get made
yeah.
fun of. Alabama fans think that the national championship is their birthright, and that's why we make fun of you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the Indiana Alabama comparison is interesting. Okay, because first of all, Stephen, I think your answer is the right one. Now, logically, I don't know that that's how it should go down, but I think I think you're probably correct. But think about this for a minute, guys. Okay, let's say now we know the environment we're working in. That fill in the blank. Where again the story for the last 15 or 20 years would be fill in the blank, and more often than not, it would be. We'd say this about Georgia or Alabama. There were a couple of years where LSU was this way, and if you want to go back 20 years, it's Florida. Yeah. The answer when we got to November was, or maybe mid-October, can anybody come in within 2 touchdowns of fill in the blank? Mm-hmm. Alabama, like it felt like who was going to win the whole thing was a foregone conclusion unless something crazy happened. We're no longer there anymore. We get to the playoff and we're going, I don't know who's going to win this thing. Miami barely got in the playoff.
Yes.
Maybe shouldn't have been in the playoff. Who knows? They're in the title game now.
Yeah.
That's where we are, okay? Put that aside. It's so hard to dominate right now. Like, you look at the years that Saban won national titles, and you look at the stat sheet at the end of the year, and it'd be we scored 42 points a game and gave up 11, 12, 13. I've been of the mindset that those days are over, that you just don't see that anymore. Look at the teams in the playoffs that, Ole Miss was, I think, scoring 38, 39 a game, giving up 23, 24. Like, the era of that dominance feels like it's over. Like, Georgia's not doing that anymore. Alabama's not doing that anymore. I think if you said Alabama's still doing that, that would seem super impressive.
Yeah.
Now take that, and it feels like they've just taken Tuscaloosa and shipped it to Bloomington, and never changed the clock.
Yeah,
because that's what Indiana's doing to people. I think it would be impressive what Indiana's doing at Alabama or Georgia, because those teams aren't doing it. Now think about this: you take that to the team that I think coming into the year had lost more games as a program in its history than any other team in Division I or Power 4, whatever the stat is. I think it's incredible to be doing what they're doing anywhere. It's mind-boggling. That's not even the right word. Like if you were purchasing NCAA whatever, and doing dynasty mode a few years ago, and it spit out Indiana as this, like, you would have taken the game and thrown it away. Like, this isn't realistic. It's not going to happen. And here we are. And so back to your point, I think that's like, even if you're being logical and you're being Alabama, you're going, okay, well, we just got boat raced by a team that just did it to Miami in its home stadium. The next reaction is, well, wait a minute, Indiana's doing it. Why are we not?
Right.
With our head start.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, look, man, thank you as always for taking time to join us. This has been an absolute blast. I know that you've got to get to cutting your own stuff for Southeastern 16. So with that, we will let you go. Enjoy covering Vanderbilt's incredible run in basketball. Hopefully they can get to 17 and 18 and 0 this week, and we would love to continue to catch up with you to discuss SEC basketball and to talk about the baseball season that is upcoming in about 30 days.
Yeah, and if you can give me a quick promo on the way out, we are starting our team previews for baseball. We'll be doing LSU and Tennessee today. We've had head coach interviews with a bunch of guys, including Brian O'Connor, Tim Corbin, Butch Thompson. We've done about half the league. Rob Vaughn at Alabama. Those are all on the channel. They're a few weeks back in the queue. But yeah, we're starting our baseball previews today as I'm speaking it. So go to Southeastern 16. You can find that on your podcast platforms. YouTube is our primary destination. So baseball, football, basketball year round in the SEC. If you like if you like all those things, I think we're your one-stop shop.
And Chris, national championship preview. Give us your score prediction. Who wins?
Oh gosh, Indiana 34, Miami 17.
Wow.
IU,
man.
17. Wow.
IU. All right, Chris, look, man, thank you as always. We will catch you next time, okay?
Hey, thanks for having me. God bless you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Chris.
man. All right, so Heath, we kept Chris longer than we needed to, but it was all great content, and he is a great sport about that, man. And so, Heath, do you want to do a post show, or do you want to go on ahead and wrap it up because we're an hour and 5 minutes in?
We got time to do a post show.
We do?
Yeah, we got enough time to do some post show.
Okay. All right. Here is another one of our great advertisers, and then we will finish it up right after this. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. All right, so we're back here on the Stingray Show, and Heath, let's continue like we talked about in the first segment with the national history of today. We stopped off in 1888 with the National Geographic Society, and you called them a bunch of nerds. Let's move to 1930. Can you tell me what makes his first appearance in a comic strip?
You said 1920?
30.
1930. I'll give you three guesses. Mickey Mouse?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Got it on the first one.
Yep, 1930, the first Mickey Mouse comic strip appears.
And this is why I win at Trivia Pursuit all the time. You challenge me at Trivia Pursuit, I randomly can guess the right thing.
I did not know that this was even a thing. I bet you probably won't either. In 1942, can you tell me what Henry Ford tries to patent?
Well, World War II is going on. I know the Ford Motor Company helped out with production of weapons and things, vehicles, weapons, those types of things. I don't know. He tried to patent a bazooka or a rocket launcher, some kind of weapon.
A soybean car. What?
That was my next guess.
What? Says right here, Henry Ford patents a soybean car.
Well, you know, Stephen, you've heard the stories, and I heard one on the radio a while back. There are cars that can run on water, and they're just as efficient as fuel cars. They have just as much horsepower, everything. But the car companies, let me rephrase that. Sometimes the car companies, but mainly the big oil companies, come in and they offer these people just an enormous amount of money for the patent, and they own it. And, you know, like, hey, we're going to give you $150 million for this patent, because they're going to lose that money in the first year if it came into water cars. And so someone's like, man, I get $150 million right now. Sure. Here you go. And we never see it. Right. So the soybean car might be the same thing. The oil companies might have came in and said, Yeah, we want to buy that from you, Henry Ford. I know
Yeah.
you got a lot of money, but we're going to give you a lot more.
Heath, can you tell me, and I'm sure you can't because you were not born then, so I'm going to go ahead and just tell you this. In 1962, Chubby Checker's song The Twist inspires the twist dance craze.
And your parents and grandparents and great aunts and uncles, um, they will show you how to do it.
Yes.
And don't hurt
Not
them.
me.
Don't
Not
hurt
me.
them.
Not me. I ain't doing the twist. All right, Heath, can you tell me who performed a big show in California on this day in 1968?
A big show like a concert.
Yes.
See, 68. I mean, Elvis was popular at the time, so was Johnny Cash. This is before the Summer of Love of 69. Vietnam War things are starting to go crazy in South. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Elvis.
I'm disappointed in you,
It could be
man.
Bob Hope, though. It could be Bob Hope.
Folsom State Prison,
Johnny
Folsom,
Cash.
California. Johnny Cash was recorded live for an album release.
There you go. You know, he was such a huge star. I don't know if you ever saw the movie about Johnny Cash with Joaquin Phoenix and that, but
Good.
he had been gone away. He'd gone through rehab and everything else, and he was trying to come back, and everyone was telling him, like, everyone's gone electric, and you can't do this. And even Bob Dylan's gone electric. You can't do this acoustic guitar stuff anymore. And he just said, I'll just record it, see if you like it. And it went out there, didn't do it electric, and they sure did like it. And hey, if you haven't heard that album, you should put it on. It is a wonderful album to listen to. It's absolutely wonderful. And if I'm not mistaken, Stephen, I think that's the very first time we got to hear Starkville City Jail.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash got arrested in Starkville, Mississippi for, quote, picking flowers or public drunk, one or the other. He says picking flowers.
All right. Heath, can you tell me what major event happened on this day in the NBA back in 1973?
73. Man, this is 2 years before I was born.
Let me just tell you.
Someone shattered a backboard. I have no idea.
Will Chamberlain scored 73 points in a game.
Wow. Here's the fun thing about Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points in that game. They didn't even finish the game. And so the other team was like, his team was begging, like, hey, let's see if Wilt could get 100. And once he got 100, they stopped the game. There were still like 3 or 4 minutes left to play.
Right.
Back then, they didn't even, like, if one team was getting beat so bad, they just give up. Like, all right, we good. We ain't playing no more. What's up with that?
I don't know. All right. When we move to 1982, two prominent baseball players were elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Heath, can you tell me who it was?
And what year?
1982.
Ooh. So 5 years before 82 would have been 77, which would have been their last year playing. And that's going to be tough for me because I was only 2 years old. I wouldn't have known. I'd have been 3 years old. And I'd been 2 years old. I'd been 2 years old and I wouldn't have known what their career was before that. So I'm going to,
I said
I don't know.
1982.
Yeah, I know, but you have to wait 5 years.
Right.
So they played their last game in 77, then their 5-year clock started, which means they were eligible to be elected to the Hall of Fame in 82 for the first time. They might not even get in on the first time. So it could have been earlier than 77. So, yeah, that's before my time. Who you got?
Hank Aaron and Frank Robinson.
Hammerin' Hank Aaron. And Frank Robinson, man, one of the greatest that ever did it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was tremendous. Buck Showalter still talks about Frank Robinson, that he was easily one of the absolute greatest baseball players of all time. Doesn't get enough respect, but just, yeah, said he was the best at third base he's ever seen still.
All right. Heath, are you ready for a wow moment?
Hit me with it.
Can you tell me who Otto Butcher is?
Otto Butcher? I ain't never heard no Otto Butcher. What you talking about?
He is from Switzerland. He becomes the oldest man to record a hole-in-one at 130 yards on the 12th hole at 99 years old.
God bless him. You hear these stories of people doing these great things. I mean, Colonel Sanders didn't get into the chicken business till after he retired. He was like in
Yeah.
his 60s. Warren Buffett, I don't think, made his first million until his like 50s or 60s. So, I mean, people always say, "Oh, I'm too old. I missed the boat. I didn't start saving enough to retire." You got time to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You hear about these people, in their late 70s, 80s, running a marathon for the first time or doing the Ironman.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Like, I'm out of breath, go to the couch, and I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
You can do anything that you set your mind to. You just got to throw yourself into it. God bless that. Otto Butcher, hole-in-one at 99.
All right.
He's from Switzerland? Is that what you said?
Yes, Switzerland. Mm-hmm.
Otto, mad respect, brother.
All right. And Heath, finally, on the national history of today, can you tell me what happened on January the 13th of 1998? That was a nation shocker for the NFL.
Oh, man, let me think of 1998.
Yep.
All right. LA still playing in 1998. Broncos win the Super Bowl that year. That's back-to-back. You're talking about money. Well, the Super Bowl commercial went to $1 million. Like, I don't know.
CBS pays $4 billion with a B to televise the AFC games for the next 8 years.
Whew. That's a lot of money. Here's the fun thing, Stephen. That's not even the most money CBS has ever spent on sports.
Right.
Do you know they spent something like $10.1 billion to have the NCAA tournament on CBS? And I want to say that was a 20-year contract or a 30-year contract. So, yeah, and I remember during COVID, they freaked out about it. And so, but I think they worked it out. They're going to extend the contract for 1 year because the NCAA didn't do it. So whenever that contract is supposed to expire, I'm making a number up in 2041, they're just going to add it to 2042 and go from there. But $10 billion is a lot of money. But what did you say, $4 billion for the AFC for 8 years?
AFC games for 8 years.
That's got me choked up, man.
And in 98 now, 98. That's a lot of money back then, bro.
Yeah, that contract's already expired too. So yeah. I wonder what they paid in 2006.
No clue.
You know what used to make me mad, and it still kind of does a little bit? I live here in the Memphis area. And even when I lived down in the Golden Triangle area in Mississippi and things like that, they kept putting on the Tennessee Titans every single week.
Yep.
And a man of my age, I still look at the Titans as the Houston Oilers, and I didn't like the Oilers.
Right.
And I'm just kind of like, man, what is the deal with this?
Well,
so I was happy to see that they have kind of gotten away from that and done some different things. Matter of fact, I heard down in the Golden Triangle, Columbus, West Point, Starkville, back in my reporting days, down in the Golden Triangle, I hear that they don't do the Titans game, they do the Cowboys games when they get the opportunity. So there you go.
And I do know over here in Birmingham, because they're doing so decent now, occasionally and more often than not, we get the Jacksonville
Jaguars.
Jaguars games.
So you would think you'd get more Falcons games over there
Right.
or
Cause,
Titans game. I mean,
right.
how far are you from Nashville? Like 5 hours, 4 hours?
Yeah.
And how far are you from Nashville?
From Atlanta, we're 3,
All right, from Atlanta, you're 3. How far are you to Nashville?
5.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, I would figure you'd get that. I mean, kind of like Jackson, Mississippi. They get a lot of Saints games, but there's also a lot of Saint fans there.
Right.
But in the Golden Triangle, I wouldn't say there's that many Titan fans there. Why do you keep showing me the Titan games? You know, I'm here in Memphis, and I'm 3.5 hours away from Nashville.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it. But it's not like Tennessee's been here forever either. So, hey, speaking of the Titans, they're trying to build them a new stadium up there, Steven. What do you think about that?
I saw that. It's interesting.
I think they're doing it for several reasons, but I also think that the old stadium, I think they want to put a Major League Baseball park there.
Mm-hmm.
And the rumor is the Chicago White Sox will one day be the Music City Sox played in Nashville.
Wow. Heath, to wrap up the Stingray show, this has been an absolute blast. Can you tell me what famous gunfighter died on this day back in 1929?
Billy the Kid. I have no idea. Pat Garrett.
Wyatt Earp.
That's what I said.
Now, listen to this. American gunfighter. He led the gunfight at the OK Corral in 1881 in Tombstone, Arizona. And on his tombstone, it says that nothing so sacred as honor and nothing so loyal as love.
Wow. I have never been to Tombstone, but I've heard several people that have. They absolutely love it. They still have, shootouts every day there. They do their little dramatic theater and folks dress up, but people absolutely go there. But you know what I always think about? I always think about National Lampoon's Vacation where they go to Wally World.
Yeah.
And Russ is like, Dad, that's a crappy Wyatt Earp. He's wearing Nikes. That line always makes me laugh.
I know. All right. So, Heath, briefly, I am going to do something real quick. I'm going to check the SEC schedule, and it looks like that LSU, the basketball team, is off the midweek this week. So I am going, actually, no, they play Kentucky tomorrow night. I'm going to put in a request to try and get one of the radio broadcast analysts for the LSU network. I'm going to reach out to John Brady, former LSU basketball coach, to see if he will join us tomorrow to talk a little LSU basketball and SEC basketball ahead of the Wednesday night matchups tomorrow.
John Brady joined our show before. Absolute wonderful guest.
Yeah.
He was on that Mississippi State staff when Mississippi State went to the Final Four in 1996. He was one of the coaches on that staff.
Yes.
And matter of fact, got him the job at LSU shortly after that. But John Brady will tell you flat out to your face because he told us on the show, played at MC. He wanted to play at a higher level, but couldn't.
Right.
Played at Mississippi College, but he had so many great stories and a fun guy. And Stephen, there's a saying, it's a more of a question for athletes and coaches. Do you love winning more or do you hate losing more? And super majority of the people on this earth, as professional athletes, college athletes, coaches, will tell you they hate losing more. They do it so they don't lose. But there's a rare few that love winning. I'd love to ask John Brady that question because he really enjoyed winning. I think he might say, I hate losing more. But I'll tell you what, You know who else I want to ask that question? And we talked about him a lot on the show yesterday.
Mark Godfrey.
Well, Mark too, but I'd like to talk to Houston Dale Nutt about that
Yeah.
because he actually seems like a guy that loved winning more than he
Yes.
did losing.
And by the way, speaking of basketball, did you see the news out of Green Bay, Milwaukee?
No, is it about our good friend that's on the show quite often?
Doug Gottlieb is stepping away from his radio show to focus solely on basketball up there. So he is no longer doing the Doug Gottlieb show as of right now to focus on his team in college basketball. So major props to him because they are having a better season in year number 2 under Doug Gottlieb.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard gig up there at Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. This cough, I'm not sick. I'm not under the weather, but this cough has just popped up in the last 2 days. It's driving me crazy. It just pops up randomly like that.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, Doug Gottlieb, great friend of the show, been wonderful to the show. And here's the fun thing about Doug Gottlieb. If you ever have a show and you bring him on, he is going to do a lot of homework on you, and he's going to shock you with questions that he asks you on your own show.
Yeah.
That always shocked me about Doug. He asked me about being a student at Mississippi State where they went to the Final Four in '96, and I was like, how in the world did he know that?
And he asked me about cowbells.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Doug will do his homework tremendously before he comes on your show, which just makes Doug a superstar anyway.
Yeah.
But I hate that Doug has to step away from his radio show because it's so entertaining.
Yes.
And it's so much in depth.
But you can't do both. You can't.
It's hard to do both. It's hard to do. But, the NIL money at Green Bay, Wisconsin, I'm going to guess it's closer to zero than it is to $1 million.
Right.
I'm going to guess it's a whole lot closer to zero. So, that's just kind of a hard gig up there. But, the Packers, man, losing to the Bears. Bears scored 28 unanswered points. 28 unanswered, Stephen.
I know.
How does that happen?
Do not know.
On top of that, I heard that was the biggest blown lead in Packer history. That blew my mind. Bears had never won a playoff game when they were 8 points or more down. And they rattle off 28 unanswered to come back and win that game. Just wow. You got to like the Bears. I don't know if you're a Bears fan or not, but they had all these comebacks this year over and over and over. They're just a fun team to watch. Okay, I'll start making stuff up while Steven's trying to find out what he's going to say next.
No, I'm actually trying to find out the come on.
Today, Junior.
I'm trying to find out how they're doing right now, and this thing will not work.
Oh, you're talking about Doug at
Wisconsin, Green Bay, yes.
Yeah. The University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. Hey, for the folks in the Memphis area, or for anybody for that matter, that ever went to the late amusement park Liberty Land in Memphis, the Zip and Pippin, Elvis Presley's favorite roller coaster of all time, it's up at Green Bay, Wisconsin. Someone bought the roller coaster, took it down piece by piece, they reassembled it, so you can still ride the Zip and Pippin up in Green Bay. So, yeah, make that your little summer tour to escape and get away and go have some fun. But there you go. Green Bay, Wisconsin is home of the Zip and Pippin, Elvis's favorite roller coaster that once was at Liberty Land.
Dude, I swear, this...
You know what, Steven? Why don't you... Oh, did you find it?
They're 10-8, 5-2 in conference. They've got a win percentage right now in conference of 71%. They've won 4 in a row since Doug Gottlieb stepped away from his radio show.
Wow, good for you, Doug.
So 10-8 overall, 5-2 in conference on a 4-game win streak. So
here's the thing with Doug. He was so established being a national radio host.
Yeah.
If Doug changed his mind this afternoon, like, you know what, I don't want to do basketball anymore, I want to do radio, like, people would be standing in line to put Doug on their network. So,
yes.
Doug will be fine.
All right, so guys, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Stingray Show. Sorry I got a little distracted there. I really wanted to say that about Doug Gottlieb and check their record right now since he stepped away. I apologize about being so focused on the phone right there. But we will be back tomorrow morning, hopefully, with John Brady talking about LSU and SEC basketball. And then we will also talk some other fun things as well. And we will see you tomorrow morning right back here at 8:15 on the Stingray Show, whether that be on Ole Miss 365 or on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and we will catch you on the Wednesday Hump Day edition of the Stingray Show.
You know, Stephen, I just thought about this. Last time we had Doug, that was almost 5 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
Hey, and by the way, I forgot to tell you about this.
Steve, you got your picture made with Priscilla?
I did.
Well, how old were you?
It was actually last summer at the Mississippi Comic Con in Jackson.
I see that now. Hey, I also see John Stringer's comment. You can pull up John's comment?
Yes.
John, there is a picture of that. I'm sure you can Google it. I'm sure you can Google Johnny Cash, Mississippi State University, or Johnny Cash, Starkville, Mississippi. You do Starkville, Mississippi, you might get the song, more stuff with the song. But yeah, there is a picture of that, and a very well-known picture. And I was a former Pike member at Mississippi State. So yeah, I was a member of the Pike fraternity. And that story had been passed around quite often.
And we always love the interaction from K-Bug and John Stringer, and as well as Stacy Michaels, who does come in from time to time. We really do want to thank of all of our viewers, all of our loyal listeners. We love bringing you this show every single day right here on the Stingray Show. We are very thankful and blessed to also be a part of Ole Miss 365, and we will see you guys tomorrow on the next edition of the Stingray Show.
I see you, John. Fa K. I got you, brother. I got you, John. We gotta get together, brother. We got to meet up and have a good time. But
all right, I tell you what, let's just bring him on the show one day.
I'm up for that.
Yes. He's a fun man. He's awesome. All right, man. Well, we're going to have the fun tomorrow. We will catch you guys tomorrow right back here on the Stingray Show at 8:15 in the morning. Do not forget to start your day with the Stingray Show.
And coffee. And maybe a show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. You know, I tell people when they come in, you know, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. You know, we've got the capability to process it, make it. You know, if you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. You know, we do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. You know, people call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You know, you want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama Andover, Mississippi. For all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs.